rhythms to life, there are rhythms to our culture, and sometimes there is a coalescence of spiritual factors. But there are these also generational shifts. You could map them out. I mean, no, you and I are both familiar with like the fourth turning. How do we discern what is spiritual, just simply generational, and just simply charting the cycle of human development or movement? How do you differentiate between that? Or do you? Maybe I'm asking you too big of a question. Maybe we need to ask someone else that. I know we talked about this beforehand and you're like, ask the Pope.
Well, what's actually funny, I can just share this because it's a kind of a fun story. I once in a while get a little courage and I go for like the big dogs, and as we like seek certain kinds of thinkers to contribute to our magazine. And I don't have any direct line to Pope Francis, but I know someone who knows him. And I asked that person, Catholic, who's like super involved in the upper echelons of the Vatican. I was like, any chance, like I have this pitch that's basically that question. We're doing an issue this winter. It's simply called Church, Where Are You? Or Church, Who Are You? Which is a little unique for us to sort of turn our lens on our own people and look inward in some ways. But I wanted a global piece. I wanted someone who was spiritually discerning and kind of would understand like how the Spirit of God is moving through Latin America and Asia and Africa and the West and Europe and North America, and yet who also has deep institutional responsibility. And this person was so sweet, wrote back like a week later and was like, Pope Francis is ill right now. And I'm not like, can you tell me more about like how you see him answering the question? And I'm happy to try, but it's just, anyway, I was like, oh, he's actually considering this. So I don't think we're going to get the Pope, but I say that to say it is too big of a question for me. And I go back and forth. When I started out in my 20s, this was in the early, sort of the Bush era. And then Obama was like whispered on everyone's tongues as this like hope, and something about that era, like 2006 to 2008, I had this audacious like instinct. I was like, I need to start, and I'm so glad I didn't do this, but I was shopping around. I was like, I should start like a little nonprofit that's studying millennials, because I think millennials are the canary in the coal mine of all of our social changes. I'm so glad I didn't do it, but I was really interested in generations. And yet I've talked to so many people who are skeptical, like people I respect, historians, sociologists, who and even the fourth turning is a little debatable, like who kind of I've gotten more insecure around like what is a generation actually, and I think there is something to be said for like how generational differences are shifting. When they used to be, you could call a generation 60 years, then it was, if we're just looking at a lifespan, then it's 20 years, like parent child. And now it's like, I talk to Gen Zers, and within Gen Z, it feels like already there's 3 generations. Like the 26-year-old is super different than the 23-year-old is super different than the 20-year-old. And so there's something shrinking in terms of, if I could define a generation by mores, vocabulary, and norms, that makes sense to me. So all that's just to say, I think between the spiritual generational and then the sort of psychological development, human development cycle of human maturity and maturation, it's like a melange. It's all, I don't know how to exactly differentiate between. So I'm not answering it is a coalescence, and I'm going to need someone much smarter than me to kind of divide it out as a pie.